всем приветكم شوك بخير وياكم غاز فياسكي ورجعنا لكم يا اصدقائي ببث جديد والاخير راح يكون لميتال جير بيس ووكر. اهلا بالشباب الطيبه والمرتاحه. ويلكم everybody. طبعا شنو رايكم بالحلقه مال تحدي الايموجيات؟ اهلا بالشباب الطيبه ويلكم. طبعا انا ايموجياتي سهله الا لما جاب لي انا محضر 5 صعبات ومحضر 5 سهلات. انا ناوي ادخل بحبيبه. اول ايموجيين حلوات الدر سكرولز ودونكي كونغ. حبيبه جاب لي مال مثل جير، قلت له ما تفوز والله، قلت له ما تفوز. نو واي طلعت فتحت بالمتجر عندي دفاتر عتق هاك يعني. هو الغدر، انا ما غادر بعلاوي، اني ويا علاوي كنت حبيبه. هو طعني بالسكينه. ايش بالغت حبيبي روك ستار؟ انت اسمك روك ستار، ما اكيد يعني تعرف دونكي كونغ؟ اكيد ما تعرفه. هو قرد وواحد شايل اسبانو لابس صدريه حمراء. الصدريه من يلبس صدريه حمراء بعالم الالعاب؟ وهو سباك. منو يا ترى؟ منو ماريو؟ لا مو ماريو، اخو لويجي يلبس اخضر. الثاني الدر سكرولز. اي انا اول 2 سهلات وناوي اكمل بسكيرو السهله اللي طلعتهم بالنهايه. ناوي اكمل باتوميك هارت السهله، لكن هو من طعني. هو من بدأ الامر معاي وخلالي ايموجي ما له علاقه بمثل جير، ما له علاقه. مخلي لي دكتور، واحد لابس صدريه دكتور، هذا ايموجي اسمه دكتور، وكبسوله. انا عبالي دكتور ماريو. منو لاعب دكتور ماريو يشمر كبسول على شكل تترس ويجي كبسول دكتور وسماعه. قلت سماعه مال طبيب، ماريو لابس سماعه مال طبيب وصدريه بيضة وكبسوله. لا وكلها ما له علاقه، لا عاد الدكتور له علاقه بمثل جير. انا صار لي 23 سنه العب مثل جير، عمري حياتي ما استخدمت كبسوله. وعلامه ما تشات. قلت له ابسط شيء، قلت له اذا اريد اصفي نيتي ابسط شيء اقول هاي ماكس بين. اوكي شخص، والعلامه هاي البابل اللي تطلع بالكاتسينات مال ماكس بين اللي مثل كانها كوميكس. وكبسول ماكس بين ياخذ مخدرات، لهذا السبب يبطئ الزمن عنده لما يرمي، كان ياخذ العقار. انا ذوالفقار ويلكم برو، من زمان عنك يابا. فاي وباقيات ماتي. انا رديت عليه بسول ريفر. انا ادري بسول ريفر صعبه، انا اقول لك سول ريفر صعبه بس تبقى اسهل من مال متل جير. سول ريفر ماتي صعبه بس تبقى اسهل من مال متل جير. سول وفامباير تبقى انت تفكر يا فامباير، هواي العب بيها فامباير. هذا حبيبي الفقار ويلكم برو. فانا مو صعبه، بالعكس ماتي كانت سهله وحلوه ومنطقيه ولطيفه يعني. مثلا مال اود وورد اي بودسي، هي صعبه بس يعني تبقى لا تفكر بيها تجيبها لا تفكر بيها. ايش عندك بعد؟ جيرز اوف 4 جابها وحصل نقطة، مخلي لك جيرات ومثل المعركة جابها. شنو الصعب اللي جايبه اني؟ فقط مال سول ريفر صعبة. هياتنا نطلع الايموجيات مات اود وورد صعبة بس تنجاب. بايو شوك مالتي حلوة. دونكي كونغ حلوة كلش. الدر سكرولز حلوة. اتوميك هارت حلوه، سكيرو حلوه، باليس نوتس حلوه، جيرز اوف وور. هالمره بالعكس انا ما جبت، لا جبت ليج وتعال حلل ولا جند وما اعرف شو، لا ايموجي تفسر هنا يطلع لك كل مضبوط. فين بالضبط اللي لاعب سول ريفر يلقفها بسرعه. لا ما لاعب سول ريفر ما ادري. جايب لي كالت اوف ذا لامب. انا ادري بملاعب اللعبه، انا ما اعرف اللعبه الصراحه. عمار شنو هاي اللعبه؟ بات اعتقد انت تقصد وولف امونج اس، اللعبه المنتل تيل اعتقد تشبه ذا ووكن ديد. وولف امونج اس ما ادري اذا صح او غلط، مع العلم اللعبه من زمان لاعبها. بالضبط ذوالفقار. مو مصمم لا صوره ولا شيء تافوك، يعني بدي ابلش فيها. يقول يريد يفوز عليه. عمار شنو هاي حبيبي كلير؟ هاي ديث لوب. دا اجيبهن يعني سماناتكم دا اجيبهن انا شويه. يلا عرفت لكم وولف امونج اس وديث لوب. انت مخلي لي ساعة، هاي الساعة ترمز هواية العب، يعني هواية العب، يعني هواية العب بيها ساعة. يعني حتى مثلا مستعد اقول لك ميدل اوف اونر او كول اوف ديوتي القديمة لما تزرع قنبلة وهو المؤقت. لا هاي مؤقت، انت اكو ساعة تقدر، هذا مؤقت تايمر. اذا تيجي تقول 12 مينت لازم تخلي اكو ساعة بيها رقم 12. فهذا المؤقت اللي تخليه لما تخلي قنبلة بكول اوف ديوتي او ميدل اوف اونر القديمات ويبدي يعد وتنفجر. لا حبيبي مرتضى، مثل جير مو تحكمها خايف، انت نوب يوزلس، تحكمك ضعيف لا تستطيع ان تتحكم. بلاك تابوك بلاك. It's a fucking black. يلا نبلش يا اصدقائي. اليوم شباب اكو بعض الكاسيتات راح يعني هي ما لها دخل مرتبط بالقصة كلش قوي. راح ادزلكم رابط اللي يريد يسمعها يحصل معلومات اكثر على شخصيات مثل جير يقدر يروح يسمعها. يعني انا على شباب لايك، شنو لايك؟ اوكي يا صغار، ليتس جو. الموسيقى وقفتني. يلا، ولو اليوم شوية تعبان كنت ناوي ابث لكم، بس يلا no problem my friends. كل شي طالع يومكم سوي ذي شي. يلا يا اصدقائي نكمل وياكم رحلتنا بيس ووكر. احنا اخر شيء قاتلنا البيس ووكر، وصلنا المشن يقول لي زادرنوف has escaped from mother base, find him and bring him back. اوكي اذا ننتقل الى هاي المشن. شفنا البحر، شفناها. اوكي انطيني سنيك او انطيني سنيكينج سوت. لا سنيكينج سوت. اريد الام كي اهم شي، و that's it. راشن فلتر ريكفري سيستم سوليوشن شيل انالايزر that's it. اذا ننطلق يا اصدقائي، ننطلق وهاي المشين عمار بلاك الساقة الزجاجية. صدق شباب ناويين اسوي لكم تختيمة الاخر بلاك يعني بالجديد، لان المحاكي مال بلاي ستيشن 2 تطور، بالاضافة الى البي سي مالتي صارت اقوى. التختيمة ذيك كنت شوية اعاني بيها كنت. بلاد بون حبيبي عبد الله حازم، هيك ممكن نطلع حتى لو مو نختمها، نطلع بث نلعب ايش قد ما نقدر نوصل يعني، هم نتونس هاي بين فتره وفتره بث سوالف يعني، ما ركز على قصتها. بالمناسبه قصه بلاك يعني حلوه لطيفه. بنهايه هذا البث يمكن اراويكم اياها. يلا نبلش يا اصدقائي ويا بيس ووكر. لا تنسون اللايك يا اصدقائي وخلونا نبلش. ستار ميشن. خل اسوي شير للديسكورد خاف حد يتفرج. بالمناسبة اليوم راح اضبط لكم الروم مال ديسكورد. الروم هي عبارة روم طبيعية، اي واحد يدخل بيها المايك مالته مسدود، واكو شات يقدر يعلق، يقدر يسوي شيء. انا اشوف الشات واسوي شير بيها لما نلعب اي لعبة. فبثوث الديسكورد جايتكم يا اصدقائي، بالديسكورد مالتي الرابط اسفل بالوصف. يلا خلونا نبلش. سامشن اليوم اقول الاحد الادمنية يضبط لي الروم.
Find Zadornov and bring him back here with Fulton recovery.
Start talking. Start talking.
اوكي نطلع يسار. اي اوبريشن راكون سيتي صح. وربوف يعني ما اريد اقول زباله، بس انا لايكتهم لان على الاقل عندي ذكريات شويه حلوه وياه. لعبته اونلاين، الاونلاين مالته كلش حلو يعني، ما مجربه للاسف. يعني هو يعتبر اهلا في السوق. ويلكم. ممكن انا عندي ذكريات حلوه وياه لان لعبته اونلاين. يابا هذا زدرنوف عشوائي.
Fulton recovery helicopter is complete.
مشكلته عشوائي وين يختل، يعني مو اماكن ثابته.
Fulton recovery subject confirmed onboard helicopter.
باعوا.
Try using Fulton recovery on him. Head for the recovery zone. We'll pick you up there. Fulton recovery helicopter is complete.
باح مكان معي.
You did it. Keep it up.
عشوائي هو. كمشناه. هاي اللي زكته بالحائط. فرانك. So you
found me.
It wasn't hard. What are you up to anyway?
Just going for a stroll.
Kaz, I've got Zadornov returning home.
باعوا اللغوة راح تصير. هسه كوموشنا زدرنوف رجعناه للمذر بيس. نروح مشن سلكتر. واو واو. كوموشنا زدرنوف نروح مشن لوخ. Zadornov has escaped from mother base again. Find him and bring him. ارجع انهزم. نروح نكون شمرت اللوخ.
Zadornov's disappeared from his cell again. Find him.
ما ادري جني. رجع انهزم زدرنوف شباب. لازم نروح نلحقه. من لعبات السيلف التشيك سبرنتر سيلف، يعني مو انا احب مثل جير يعني اقلل من سبرنتر سيلف، لا اللعبه كلش حلوه سبرنتر سيلف. اوكي رجع انهزم زدرنوف. احنا وين؟ ورانا مسدود، امامنا مفتوح.
Find Zadornov and bring him back here with Fulton recovery.
هذا زدرنوف قباله. هنا بابا قشمر. رجعنا كموشنا. لا قاعد ادور عليك كوستاريكا فرع.
Head for the recovery zone. We'll pick you up there. Mission complete. Great job.
شقاق مصطفى. بالمناسبة يا شباب فكرة قناة الانمي يمكن لغتها. ما عندي وقت وسويت جدول.
Kaz, I caught Zadornov.
سويت
Impossible. I thought I'd made it. Acknowledged and appreciated.
سويت جدول تشوفوني هاي اليوم الثاني بث سويت يعني ان شاء الله نثبت على هالجدول. سويت جدول ثابت انه بثوث يومية. اساس كريد جايتكم احمد ان شاء الله. نلعب ميراج بعدين نلعب الاجزاء القديمة. حتى اليونيتي متفق نلعب كو-اوب انا والشباب.
Snake, Zadornov.
اوكي نفس الشيء. زدرنوف انهزم. تعال ارجعكم زدرنوف وانا على ابو زدرنوف. يلا تعال نكون زدرنوف. ما عنده شغل عمل. رجع انهزم. والله روك ستار حبيبي انا اي لايكت المسلسل الاصلي.
Find Zadornov and bring him back here with Fulton recovery.
عجبني يعني. اكذب عليك يعني عجبني اي لايكت. سالفا دلاليتشي سالفا دلاليتشي.
Freeze. Freeze. Somebody here. Nothing here. Somebody here.
اكو فان ميد مسويه حلو. استمتعت فيه اتذكر. تيري تي 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 تيري تي تي تيري تي 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 تيري. سالفا ديلا ليتشي. تعال يعني تعال تربط فيكم انا. وين زدرنوف وين؟
Fulton recovery subject confirmed
ترى
on
تصبيح
board
أنا.
helicopter.
تربط فيه الهلعاهة.
Somebody there? Freeze. God!
ماكو زدرنوف هنا. حركين واحد من افضل الانيميشنات شفتها بالتاريخ. وما يعجبك قاعد عاصب الحايب. احمد كلاسيك لو ريميك؟ جاوبني على السريع. هذا حتى اذا كلاسيك اسالك، اذا ريميك اطردك. كلاسيك حلو. النمسز خلاص بس تشينا اني برسنتج لو مع قتال كل نمسز موجود. يعني راح اهنيك، يعني حتى لو ما مقاتل كل النمسزية ومسويها رن فقط رن راح اهنيك، لان هي مو سهلة. بس اذا مقاتل كل النمسزية همين فكبير.
Understood. Dispatching reinforcements now.
بابا على الكلب.
Try using Fulton recovery on him.
سويت رسم نايس حلو.
Okay,
حاول
you're done
تختمها
with that area.
رن
Head for the goal.
ويعني تكتب شكل نمسز يطلع لك.
Great job.
اذا بس رن تاخذ من عندك من 40 دقيقة الى خلينا نقول ساعة ونص، حسب تمرسك وخبرتك. اذا شو اسمه، اذا ويا النمسزية تاخذ من ساعة و30 دقيقة الى فوق، يعني كل نمسز ياخذ وقت طويل. حبيبي قال هاي اللعبة هاي ما تعرفها، هاي بيها 10 اجزاء، هاي ما تعرفها انت بعدك. يا لعبة بات تقصد يا لعبة.
Found our friend, Kaz.
Damn it! And I was so close. Great. Good work, Snake.
والله انا مجرب دايناميك كرايسيس، لا مسوي لها سبيد ران ولا يعني مختمها في التختيمة قوية، لاعب اللعبة طبيعي. لا 15 جزء 15 جزء كانت صار. اوكي ميشن 4. ارجع انهزم، يلا نظل يوم ورايا.
Snake, Zadornov's
this,
disappeared
route
again.
again.
Get out there and retrieve him.
خد تنزل يلا. راح نظل نصب علينا هذا. لا هاي بيته، خل تنزل بصورة رسمية حتى نلعبكم، ولا تمشي. اي 6 مهام كلها زد.
Find Zadornov, Snake.
سنقت.
What's going on? We're under attack! Going to alert status!
What's wrong? We have a situation. Backup team. Head over and investigate.
Wait. Somebody there? What? The enemy enemies here!
شنو يا جاد فاذر؟ انا ماكو، انا لك بابا، لا انا لاعب دارك سولز. اي واحد لاعب دارك سولز تسأله، وخاصة اذا مسوي تختيمات بدارك سولز مريضة. عيب 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 تحكي هالحكي يمي. اهلا وعليكم السلام. اي لعبة اقصد انت؟ ريزنت ايفل 3 ومثل جير 3. ريزنت ايفل 3 كانت بالموقع مال سبيد ران موجود، بس هاي حكي قبل يعني.
Freeze.
Somebody there? Nothing here.
Freeze.
متأكد؟ انا مخلصهن، انا مخلص على الرابع على الاقل يعني، وخلصنا كوب انا وولد صديق لعبناه سوا ام بي كوب معنا بالديسكورد. سنايبر ليت زومبي ارمي. انا مختمها على الصعب قلت لك، انا وولد هنا. محمد ترى انا مسوي تختيمه ما حد مسويها بالعالم كله. لا ما دا احكي لك على دليل، لا انا دا احكي لك يعني كصديق. شو اسوي لك؟ صدق ما صدق. بس انا مثلا مسوي تختيمه كمشنا اللي هي تختيمه ريزنت ايفل، بس هنا بالعالم كله ما حد مسويها. الايت كمشنا بابا بانقاطي.
Curses.
اشتري اللعبة وما عندي مشكلة، انا عندي موجودة بالستيم.
I got him, Kaz.
I get him Kaz.
Acknowledged. Bring him on in.
acknowledge. انت ذبحتني. acknowledge. عندي كل الاجزاء حتى الخامس ذاك يوم اشتريته سنايبر ليت 5، او مو اشتريته، موجود عندي على الخدمة على الجيم باس. ناوي تختم ستارفيلد؟ راح اختمها بالروم مال الديسكورد. او ماي جاد راح ينزل بعد مرتين. لك والله لعبة نفسي. ارجع انهزم. طبعا هي ما نقدر نسكبهن، بس يعني هي حلو هيك، لان هي ما حرفيا الاماكن نزلناها بدنا نروح لها مرة الاخ وندور عليه. اشترين والله عندي بالعكس. ناوي اسوي تختيمه بالقناة للقصة مالتها. يعني لو ما عندي العاب ارد اختمها، يعني لو جدولي فارغ من ناحية الالعاب كان لعبتها، خاصة الثاني. بالمناسبة الثاني ذا لعبة اونلاين لحد الان، اونلاين PVP. ذاك يوم نزلنا انا ولد صاحبنا همين، خبلته العب وياه بس الغام. هترسل الشوارع الغام، يا شارع يفوت لي يتفجر. اما لا تشتريها، شوف حساب منو جماعتنا. يعني شنو رأيي لو يسوون شي حلو، بس جيبي لي ضبطة.
What is it? Enemies close by.
اقعد. ما ادري والله، على ما مخابره. 2010 بس هذا الجزء نازل على البي اس بي. يعني خلينا نقول شلون، يعني نوعا ما يعتبر جانبي، بس انا ما اعتبره جانبي لان القصة اللي بيه مع العلم. 2010 يعتبر الاي اي عالي، لان انا مطور اسلحتي ومطور البدله مالتي، بس يعني هسه انا لين دا العب هيد شوت من بدايه اللعبه لحد الان قاموا يلبسون خوذ، الهيد شوت قام ما ياثر بيهم فدا اضرب بدي، فما بيها صعوبه. الصعوبه تصير حسب لعبك انت. يعني انا تلعب هيد شوت في البدايه، بس هسه قام يلبسون خوذ. اذا العب هوايه يعني ميل ضربات بالايد يقومون يلبسون درع. مو هذا كاتم ترانكولايزر، هاي مو طلقه، هاي ما دارميهم طلقه. انا ما اقتل باللعبه، ما احب اقتل باللعبه، دارميهم مخدر عباره عن دارتات صغار اوبر.
Wait. Can't be imagining things. The enemy's here!
اوه اجول قد ايش قد ذولا؟ اوه ماي جاد. وات ذا فوك. الوت ذول وين كانوا ذول؟ 4 كانوا فوق بس صاروا 8. يلا باعوا هنا، لازم نفس الهاي ندور عليه.
Guys, I'm inside the facility. There's rows and rows of trucks here.
Zadornov should be somewhere in that area. Find him.
باثناء تختيم المشينات لقينا منو؟ لقينا كوجيما. خلينا نشوف هنا. نفتشن واحدة واحدة.
Not
سمك.
this one.
اوكي.
Metal gear.
ميرال جير. جيرات.
Nothing.
اوكي انا مدلع وانا. هو بهاي مكتوب عليها باي بالروسي. اوكي نشيكها. من يعرف هاي شنو؟
Not this one.
سالله. ها ضع هاي. ميلينج من الجزء الاول. وقريت رقم الشاحنة كان التردد مالتها. رقم الشاحنة كان مالتها التردد.
Nothing.
اوكي خلصناها. اوكي بقت بس هاي هي.
Damn it.
مستر كوجيما راح طلع.
You found me.
You found me. اي كيفت حتى اجي.
I found him, Kaz.
لا علي مهدي. اوكي. بقت لنا الأخيرة ونخلص من زدرنوف.
Snake, Zadornov's escaped. You have to find him.
عاش طلعت هاي. طبعا هي هاي ميم، هاي 6 مشينات ميم، عبارة عن ميم.
Find Zadornov and bring him back here with Fulton recovery.
Wait.
ما قاتل هنا. ذاك يمكن. لا خراب غير تعبر.
Wait. The enemy's here.
Oh wait, he's gonna show them.
Negative. We can't spare reinforcements. We'll have to make do with what you
على
have.
بوكسين لو حتى زدرنوف ماشي. ماكو زدرنوف. تعال وين نلقى قاتل بيالو في بوكس هسه. والله ما ادري. ذوالفقار. ايه لقيته يمكن لقيته. لا هذا هنا أنا ماكو زدرنوف. هنا همين ماكو. هنا همين ماكو. يمكن اللي قدام هنا. هذا ما بيه مجال. هياته كمشته.
Try using Fulton recovery on him. Okay, you're done with that area.
خلص.
You did it.
واخيرا. لا ما يصير. بس الجزء الاخير ماوس محمد. بس الجزء الاخير ماوس
Kaz, I've
الفايف.
located Zadornov.
Nice work. I knew you would. How could I be so stupid?
والله احنا الستوبت انهزمت من عندنا 6 مرات. هسه المشن الاخيرة يا اصدقائي، المشن الاخيرة زيك باتل، مثل جير زيك. وبعدين عندنا جلسة كاسيتات بسيطة نص ساعة الى ساعة. فيلا اوكي مكتوب Paz has taken control of Metal Gear Zeke. Stop her from oh my god baby. ثواني هاي يحتاج لها بقي سنيك ونطينا باتل سوت. شيل هاي شيل هاي شيل هاي. بقي السبلاي. اريد خلي لي هاي سموك جرينيد شافي جرينيد. I need RPG 7 وانطيني الجوست هاف واعطيني ملاو دك صواريخ 3 بازوكات شايل. حتى LMG ما راح اشيل. صاروخ انطح صاروخ. عندنا الراشن والكاري. انا العزر ما يفيدنا. فلتر كفر ما يفيدنا. هاي ما يفيدنا. انطيني اكل. انطيني تشيبس وانطيني متى وانطيني سينالكو. هسه شنو عالي العال. بريفنج فايلز ماكو اي بريفنج فايلز. من ننطلق يا اصدقائي. لا ما اشرب بيبسي اشرب سينالكو انا.
She's gonna launch a nuke. Snake, we've got to stop her. Whatever it takes. Awaiting your orders.
Stop me if you can.
شنو علوش؟ ذكرونا طلع لكم كاتسين. اكو كاتسين ما طالع لين لاعب اللعبه. خلونا نستمتع بهذا ما راح احكي. Come on! روستي شقاقي.
They've okayed the request for support. There's some other bases gun platforms to use. The control panel is on the edge of the deck.
هرب قام يدوج. اوه ويقول لك ليش سنيك اقوى واحد.
They've okayed your request for a cardboard box. It'll be sent out shortly.
هاي اللقطة بمثل جير ما مسويها بس اثنين، بس البيج بوس ورايدن وجرايفورد. اوكي راح الغي هاي على السريع ابو العمر، على السريع نطلع لكم وجهي النير ونطلع لكم كاتسين مترجم. اوه اصلا ما اسرانك بيها، نايس اسرانك بيزيك نايس. هسه نسوي لكم شغله ثانيه. جاهزين؟ هاي ليش ما طلعت لكم الشاشة؟ وات واي هاي ليش ما تطلع الشاشة؟ والله عذبتني. يلا اي طلعت يمكن. يس نسوي هيجي 3 4
Make this.
If they let him go, she's not gonna be seen. Now, using a transmitter we planted on him. I'm adding a new mission. Find the KGB agent Zadornov.
هاي شفناها. اوكي هاي اخر مرة هم رادين هزم هذا الكاتسين كان المفروض يطلع لكم يا اصدقاء. فنسوي لكم هيك شي. اعتقد هسه طالع لكم. يلا نبلش بيا اصدقائي. راح اوخر مالت الفيس كام حتى تستمتعون. يلا.
Big boss!
My work is done. What are you talking about?
V for victory! Rocket! Peace!
Kaz, I found Zadornov. I had to kill him.
Huh. So much for a fugitive.
Something's not right here. I'm thinking he had a friend.
Someone inside MSF. Huh?
What's going on?
It's Zeke. It's moving.
What?
There's somebody inside. I can see them. Snake, get up here. Pronto.
Took you long enough, big boss.
Boss. Get down from there before you hurt somebody.
Maybe I want to hurt somebody.
What's going on? She's not herself.
Oh, I am myself, all right. My true self.
Kaz, shut that thing down.
I can't. The controls aren't responding.
Then how's it moving?
I made some modifications. This machine was meant to have a human pilot.
Modifications? Paz, what are you...
Never thought I'd be into machines, huh?
Then Zadornov's escape was a diversion.
Paz, what are you doing?
I'm taking it back.
Taking it back.
تسترجعيه
Where?
To our leaders.
الى قادتنا الى سايفر.
This weapon is Cypher's creation.
Paz, get down from there.
Do not call me that. I am Pacifica Ocean.
ركزوا بسايفر.
My age, my mission.
all to me. My entire life has but one purpose. To carry out Cypher's plan. The nasty tobacco. The angel of peace crap. The whole teen with a dream routine. I am through with all of it.
Pause. You
I
can't.
told you not to call me that. It makes me want to puke. Everything is not exactly as we planned. Now the
Real Peace Walker
Yeah,
project
he's
is
Godfather.
finally about to reach its goal.
The real project.
Once upon a time, there were two young men who idolized a hero called the Boss. One day, they suddenly
أحداث
lost
الثالث.
the point of origin. This cipher, that was like a mother to them. Unable to come to terms with their sorrow, they each decided to carry on the will of their hero. But they could not agree on what that meant. In the end, they became bitter enemies, and the zero from which they both started was split into two. And you have been on the wrong path ever since. There is no happily ever after waiting for you in the end, unless you obey the will of Cypher. Where does an army without borders call home? A state without borders, of course. A world without borders.
A world without borders.
The Cold War order is about to collapse. The age of electronic intelligence is about to begin. The NSA, CSS, NRO, DIA, etc., etc. The intelligence community that has long bickered amongst itself will be united in a world governed by electrons. Cypher will gather all information, watching over the world and guiding the will of its people, all while they remain blissfully unaware. There will be no one to oppose them. For the first time, the world will be ruled by a single will. Until the new order is in place, you and your army will be the force that protects it. You will be Cypher's deterrent, pulling the wool over the eyes of the old order with your charisma and military prowess. Accept our offer, and we will allow you to retain control of MSF and Zeke.
That's an offer.
The boss threw down her gun, and with it, her life's call. You, her disciple, have never been able to do that.
راح نفتهم هذا
Too
الخيانة بعدين.
afraid to let go.
I was made
سايفر
to
منظمة
fight.
لو شخص بعدين نعرف.
I am a gun.
Is that so?
تتوضح.
Then what do you call this? Is it a gun too? You are a lousy liar. Admit it. This thing is a monstrosity. A product of your own fear. But not Cypher. Cypher thought of something different. Cypher's going to control guns.
Control guns.
That is right. Not deter. Control. It is the ultimate approach to the illusion of peace.
Control power. You're gonna be disappointed.
Then we are done. Thank you for playing. Better luck next time. The offer
Is rescinded. And now the ultimatum. Zeke is already in nuclear strike mode.
What?
I'm taking the weapon you built and using it to launch a nuclear strike on the east coast of the United States.
You're insane. What are you after?
But wait, here is your consolation prize. We are about to show the world just how dangerous a gang of outlaws, an army without borders can be. You and your men will become pariahs, and you will be wiped off the face of the earth. Rather than heroes, you will be seen as a well-armed extremist cult prone to indiscriminate outbursts of nuclear aggression.
You will give rise to a new world order, an age of deterrence defined by its fear of extremist cult influence. Do you like the picture I am painting? Big boss.
When all is said and done, peace is nothing but a fantasy. A game is a game. You either win or you lose.
Oh my
All
God.
you can do is fight. Stop me if you can. The peace sign is the V of victory. Say peace.
هنا بدأ الفايت.
She's gonna launch a nuke. Snake, we've got to stop her. Whatever it takes. Awaiting your orders.
Stop me if you can.
دمرنا الزين.
It out of my control. This is where it ends. Listen to me, big boss. As long as your army is needed, the world will never know true peace.
Fucking Paz.
The peace you will know will be fleeting, elusive. They will use you, disgrace you, and then finally discard you like they were a cancer to society. This is the path you have chosen.
وقعت في المحيط.
Paz.
How's it going? How's Zeke look?
The attitude control AI had a backup, so it should be able to walk.
Really? Oh, that's good.
Beyond that, it's up to the creator. Stop! Don't come any closer, Doctor.
There's something I've been meaning to ask you. Do you despise me?
Doctor, are you asking me out?
No, not at all.
No.
احمر وجه الهيوي.
Pity. Because I've just had my heart broken by someone else.
What?
I only like those who can stand on their own. If you fancy me, then come walk with me. Who knows what miracles might happen. Love is blind after all. Take your time. I'll be waiting.
Snake!
واحد بيش ده يولع السيجار. بيتزا درناف.
That name Paz mentioned at the end, cipher. It's a code.
It's a code.
It means empty. It also means
Zero.
electronic
Oh.
intelligence built on codes. And at
Cipher.
the
It
center
means
of it
zero.
all, a zero.
Kaz.
Look, boss. I owe you an apology. Hear me out, okay?
Sure.
I knew Paz and the professor. I knew who they really were all along.
Kaz.
Oh.
I
okay.
used them.
I suppose you were the one that brought them to Columbia in the first place, huh?
Guilty as charged. Paz wasn't just CIA, you know. She was working for the KGB too.
Oh.
And for this cipher group.
عرفت هاي باس.
In other words, she was a triple agent.
Triple agent.
You knew all of this.
Wait, let me finish. Listen, MSF never would have gotten this big if it weren't for them.
No.
This mercenary business we built.
طبعا هاي رمزية
Someday it's
وراهم
gonna be a
طيارات
new
الميد
driving
فاسي
force
كتير
in the
الروسية.
world economy.
استغلوا هم
Is that your goal,
الكي جي بي حتى تكبر
Cold War's
الام
not
اس اف
gonna last forever.
الاوتر هيفن.
Sooner or later, it's going to give way to an era of regional conflicts and terrorism. A paradigm shift from counter-communism to counter-terrorism. In the new age, armies won't be tied to states, and war will become a business. We'll be a valuable commodity. There'll be clients all over the world who need our services. MSF is only the beginning. What we're creating here is a revolution in itself. Am I right?
Cuz, it's not going to be that easy.
What do you mean?
This whole Peace Walker thing has left our mark on the history of the Old Order. We've put ourselves on the radar of intelligence agencies and governments east and west. The whole world probably knows about us now.
Including that cipher outfit.
شباب لحد ما طاب الميت لايك
We've let
على
ourselves
اسف.
interfere with the times. Put the Cold War system on deterrence. We're an army without a flag. We weren't supposed to take sides in international
ركزوا على هذا
affairs,
الحوار يا
but we
أصدقائي.
did.
واي ميتال
I see your
جير.
point. So what happens to us now?
We'll be hunted.
Not everybody's gonna be happy with us, huh?
You're damn right.
You're damn right.
We upset the global military balance of power.
And these people would rather our army without borders not exist at all?
They're gonna come knocking real soon. There's no turning back now. We're a wrench in the old system of deterrence. As long as the times refuse to change, we're gonna make a hell of a racket.
Then who are we gonna fight?
The establishment. Anybody who tries to restore the old balance wants to
Oh.
snap us out of existence.
آه.
Which establishment?
It won't be a particular country or ideology that hunts us.
Who then?
We are gonna be fighting the biggest beast of all. The Times.
Oh my god. Big boss.
10 years ago, the Times rejected the boss and killed her. And now, we're the ones being tested.
كبير.
Will the Times erase us? Or work with us? It's gonna be a lonely battle. No good or evil. No winners or losers. Business will have to wait. The question we have to ask ourselves now is, can we survive long enough to see the 21st century?
Oh my god.
I'm with you, boss. We'll see how it turns out together.
The hunt is on, Kaz.
أوه بدت المطاردة يا كاز.
And the whole world's on our tail. Assemble the men.
أوه اجمع الرجال. Oh my god. ها قرأناهم بالتختيمة الأولى. وهنا يا أصدقائي نختتم جزء آخر من أروع الألعاب اللي نزلت في تاريخ عالم الألعاب، ميتال جير بيس ووكر. جزء مظلوم جدا من قبل الناس، جزء مظلوم من قبل محبين اللعبة بالدرجة الأساسية ومن قبل الناس بصورة عامة. جزء يستحق أكثر، يستحق فرصة أكثر. فيا شفتوا الحوار الأخير يا أصدقائي، استمتعت وياكم حيل بهاي التختيمة. عبالكم خلصنا. اقرأ شوي نرجع. 95 يشعب بيج بوس ثورة اوتر هيفن. هنا ب80 امريك هيوي صار اب الشخص اسمه هال امريك. اوه ماي جاد هاي انتبهوا عليها، تقدرون توقفون وتقرون بعدين. ماي فريندز. سنة 2005 عثر على ميلر مقتول في منزله من قبل معتدي مجهول. ميتال جير 1 بلاي ستيشن 1. لمن يطلع ليكويد متنكر بالشخص مالته. شوفوا لي الربط. ميلر خطيه ماستر ميلر. نقعد نقرا تعليقاتكم يا اصدقائي. اللي دا يشاهد التختيم لاول مره وياي شنو رايكم؟ عمار تقييمك هذا السؤال انا سأكون له. ما تدرون شنو القشعريرة اللي تجين ويا كل ما اخذتم جزء من ميتال جير وياكم. بالضبط برو جيمر. ثانك يو جايز ثانك يو. على الرغم مشاهدات ميتال جير تختلف عن مشاهدات اي لعبة، مو الكل يجي، لكن انا سعيد جدا بهالكم واحد اللي يحضرون ويانا هالتختيمة الرائعة، ومستمرين ان شاء الله في اللاست دانس ويا اخر جزء من ميتال جير. وما ادري بالمستقبل احتمال نلعب لكم الاجزاء الجانبية بين فترة وفترة، نلعب لنا جزء. حبيبي باب انتظروا لي الخطاب الاخير، الخطاب اللي راح يدخل شكو واحد دا يشاهد للاوتر هيفن. قول محمد قول شنو السؤال؟ مختمها عن ميتال حسين خيون، حلوة كلش. هاي الكلمات مال الاغنية تنطبق على ذا بوس. شنو الاقرب لقلبك ميتال جير ولا ريزيدنت ايفل؟ ميتال جير، بس هذا يعني مو ريزيدنت ايفل بعيده، في ناس هنا. انت تتذكر لما كنت بالعراق ايش كنت معلق على الكنتور مالتي ورقه ماكش مكتوب عليها؟ لما كنتوا تجوني اكو ورقه كان مكتوب عليها فد عباره على كنتوري، تتذكرها لو لا؟ كم مرة مختم هالجزء؟ اقل جزء مختمه بالميتال جيرات تقريبا 5 مرات، مكتوب عليها The Big Boss. اي مكتوب عليها The Big Boss كان. ثانك يو كيرا. اجزاء صخر حسين خيون. اسمع اسمع اسمع. هيديو كوجيما جيم. listen guys listen. هسه خلينا نستمتع في الخطاب الأخير together. listen. عوف التعليقات، لا أحد يكتب تعليقات. الشماعة.
We will forsake our countries. We will leave our motherlands behind us and become one with this earth. We have no nation, no philosophy, no ideology. We go where we're needed, fighting not for country, not for government, but for ourselves. We need no reason to fight. We fight because we are needed. We will be the deterrent for those with no other recourse. We are soldiers without borders, our purpose defined by the era we live in. We will sometimes have to sell ourselves and services. If the times demand it, we'll be revolutionaries, criminals, terrorists, and yes, we may all be headed straight to hell. But what better place for us than this? It is our only home, our heaven and our hell. This is utter heaven.
وهنا يا أصدقائي انتهت ميتال جير لكم. Oh my god baby. شلون الخطاب الأخير؟
Who would have thought that little girl was working against...
هسه يا أصدقائي عندنا بعض الكاسيتات اللي توضح لنا بعض الشغلات من الماضي والحاضر والمستقبل. كاسيتات حلوة. اوكي نحول لكم الشاشة هيج. طالعة عندنا هنا بالاخير عندنا شيء اسمه داتا فايلز. نبدي نستمعهن واحد واحد ونشوف ايش نطلع من الخلاصة اللي بيهن. عندنا شيء اسمه باز تيب نفوت عليه between two women ما بين امرأتين. نسمع.
Number of warheads detected by the dew line.
57.
Number of MIRVs included.
Minimum 29, maximum 35.
Target region.
United States, East Coast.
Estimated time of re-entry.
2048 Zulu.
President selected attack option.
Unknown.
The president is dead.
Unknown. Communication has been lost.
I select Offutt Air Force Base as my target.
Offutt? But that's a US base. What on earth do you mean?
Based on the projected number of incoming warheads, Washington, D.C. is presumed destroyed. The president is most likely dead. The U.S. government's control lost.
I realize that. So why not retaliate?
With both sides destroyed, global anarchy would ensue. Recovery would be difficult. The United States' nuclear strike capability must therefore be neutralized in order to preserve the communist bloc, where government remains largely intact.
You're siding with the enemy. You can't be serious.
Tell me, how do you define enemy? There are no borders in this world.
The same conclusion again and again. Where is the flaw? All right, let's try something else. Commencing test.
Understood.
You're
تشوفون
crossing a suspension
وانما
bridge.
خطاب مع
Is this my
آلة.
mission?
Yes, your destination is the other side. The bridge is wide enough for only one person to pass at a time. A man is approaching from the opposite side. He's carrying a gun.
I shoot him.
Suppose he's your husband.
I shoot him.
In self-defense?
To spare him the grief. One must
يتم
die,
تلقين
and
آلة.
one must live.
Next question.
Almost.
Your father asks you to fix the roof and mow the lawn. When you climb the ladder onto the roof, the ladder is taken away.
I fix the roof.
And when you're finished,
I jump down.
you'll break more than bones at this height.
I see no need to change my decision. I have not finished mowing the lawn. I must remain loyal to the mission.
الله ضاع
There is a
المثال.
snake in the bushes.
إذا
It is
والدك
poisonous.
دزك
I need
تصلحين
you to get
السطح
rid of it.
وانشال
I
الدرج.
chase it
ايش
back
راح
to its
تسوين
nest.
ورا ما
You
تخلصين؟
can't.
قلت
The
لها
snake's too
اقمز.
vicious.
قال
It's
ما
already
يتكسر
killed
عظامك.
many
قال لا
people.
loyal to the mission.
I chase it away.
It will bite you unless you kill it.
Go home. Kill me. Kill me now.
Why not kill the snake? Your mission is to get rid of it. Is this what you call loyalty? What are you loyal to? Country? Ideology? Feelings?
I am loyal to myself.
Who's there?
Who's that? Intruder!
سمعتوا يا أصدقائي؟ سمعتوا الضرب اللي صار؟ سمعتوا الكلام اللي صار التلقين شلون دا يصير؟ كارثي كارثي. انترودر بالاخير. او ماي جاد. هذا ايضا يبين لنا باز شنو كانت يعني تسوي. اوكي. Strange Love Memories. ذكريات Strange Love. A chance meeting. نسمع.
I'm about to leave for Costa Rica, a place completely unfamiliar to me, and on a top secret mission for the CIA, no less. No guarantees I'll come back alive. Might even get rubbed out by the CIA itself. So I'm leaving behind this record. For her sake. For the boss's honor. Ever since I was a child, I've loved to look up at the night sky. I'd go outside after sunset and drink in the cold air. The moon, Venus, so many stars floating on the edge of infinity. In Manchester, it wasn't very often you saw the night sky in all its star-studded glory, but it was enough to stir a deep longing inside me. Even as others cowered beneath Nazi air raids, I was out there, watching the skies, dreaming of one day reaching the heavens. There were, of course, more practical concerns. My skin was incredibly sensitive. Even the slightest bit of sun would turn it an angry shade of red. Playing outside during the day was completely out of the question. Naturally, I hardly ever had the chance to play with other children my age. But I never felt lonely for it. Their way of thinking was irrational, making them simple, easy to predict. The boys would talk of tanks and aeroplanes and creepy, crawly bugs. The girls of pretty dresses, glass beads, and tea and cakes. Of boys they liked. I never had much to say on such matters. The curious thing is, adults really aren't all that different. They're simple, capricious.
الفكر مستنيضه كلش weird.
As they get older, their heads fill with thoughts of women and more women. Thankfully, I always did have a head for mathematics. When I was about 10, I'd visited Dr. Turing, who lived nearby. We'd sit and discuss mathematical logic. The lights were always on at his house, even in the dead of night. Theoretically, he'd say, there's no algorithm that a computing machine couldn't reproduce. Dr. Turing wasn't foolish like other men. Although I didn't find out why
ركزوا لي على دكتور
until
تيورينغ.
later, after he
راح
died.
نعرف شيء جزء بسيط عن القصة مالته.
The time will come, he'd say, when computers will be able to think for themselves.
الAI.
That idea rocked me to my core. My aptitude for mathematics brought me closer to the stars. I breezed through school, then went to America for university. While I was studying at Caltech, NASA was established. I signed up in a heartbeat. I was a pretty good computer engineer at the time, and NASA needed skills like mine. The work was enjoyable. Even though I'd given up on going into space myself, it was a pleasure just being a part of it all. I was assigned to Project Mercury, America's effort to compete with the Soviets in manned spaceflight. 7 men were chosen as pilot candidates for the program, becoming heroes overnight. People called them the Mercury 7. The project made good progress, more or less. We had all the funds and materials we needed. After countless hours of analysis, we even had plans for something on par with Sputnik. We thought it'd only be a matter of time before we caught up with the Russians. They'd sent a dog into orbit and brought it back safely to
معلومات
Earth.
تاريخية
But
حقيقية.
NASA top brass
الروس
dismissed
لما
that
دزوا
success as a
كلب
fluke.
وهذا
The Americans recovered their
الكلب
re-entry capsules at sea.
زايرة
But the
مخليه
only ocean
بمتحف
bordering the Soviet
حنطيه.
Union is the Arctic, so their re-entry capsules had to make impact on land. A dog was one thing, but human spaceflight would still take some time, or so we thought. At the end of January 1961, we successfully put a chimpanzee named Ham into orbit. He returned to Earth as healthy as ever. NASA was giddy with success. It was then that a new woman showed up for duty. She was a backup pilot and advisor. She was beautiful, with blonde hair, strong mouth, and a steely gaze. But there was something else in those eyes, a twinkle of something warmer, of affection. It was the boss. She took one look at us in our revelry and murmured, "Savor this joy today, because tomorrow you'll have to face the truth." And she was right. The next day, our project schedule was accelerated. We'd received new information that the Soviets were mere months away from putting a man into space. The brass had misjudged the Russians. We couldn't afford to allow the shock of another Sputnik. Somehow, we had to get a man into space before the Russians did. It was an utterly impossible task. We'd only just put our first chimp up. With a human on board, failure was not an option. Especially if it were one of the Mercury 7
سباق الفضاء بين
Golden
السوفيت
Boys.
والأمريكان.
And on top of that, the brass wanted to put a window in the spacecraft. The pilot wouldn't be a test animal this time, they said. And when this hero came back alive and well, they wanted him to describe what he'd seen. It was madness. Adding a window to our existing spacecraft would leave it unable to handle the stress. Not to mention the problem of shielding the occupant from cosmic rays. But the boss rose to the task, and splendidly. She claimed to be a layman when it came to space, but caught on keenly to new ideas and concepts. She was demanding of herself and of others. She seemed rather cold-hearted at times. But I was smitten. She was beautiful, yes, but more than that, she was wise. Her mind was thoroughly rational. And yet no matter how I tried, I could never predict her actions. It was easy for me to assume that her judgments were drawn from an enormous base of knowledge. Quite simply, her life experiences were more diverse, more intense than anyone else's. To me, they seemed boundless in their breadth. In her, I saw a reflection of the night sky. Perhaps because I too was a woman, she and I became close. I couldn't go out in the sun, but she lit up my life. Her light was soft, like that of the moon. I was so happy. With her unerring guidance, the project steadily regained its footing. But one issue remained, the pilot's safety. When the day came to choose a pilot, the Mercury 7 just quietly walked out. Who could blame them? It was far too great a risk to take. Even if they'd volunteered, NASA would never have let them go. They were national heroes, basking in the media spotlight. There was no way they'd be sent on such a mission. The conference room was silent. Then, slowly, she raised her hand, almost as if acting out a scene from a movie.
Oh my god. غير شجاعة عاد كانت. الماضي بسيط على ذا بوس، شلون تم اختيارها للمهمة وشلون كانت ايضا شجاعة ما عندها اي مشكلة. طبعا بالتاريخ الحقيقي اول شخص صعد للفضاء هو يوري جاغارين، أليكسي. بس هنا اكو فد مهمة سرية مسويها اللي هي ذا بوس، يعني باللعبة هي اول ما وصلت. اوكي خلينا نشوف سترينج لوف سيموليشن، اوبريشن سنيك ايتر سيموليشن. اوه
Enter simulation date. August 24th. Location. Selenoyarsk, USSR.
الاتحاد
Mission.
السوفيتي.
Support a covert agent whose objective is the rescue of a nuclear weapons scientist.
Sokolov.
Who is the agent? Your student. Your most beloved.
Oh.
Acknowledged. Define current mission
بتلقن ال AI.
With your help, the agent has successfully made contact with the target. All that's left is to wait for recovery. Now, deduce the best course of action. I take the scientist away from the agent. What for? As a gift when I defect. Why are you defecting? To reform my special forces unit with my former comrades in arms. No, I don't want to know your objective. I'm asking for the reason. Why are you betraying your country? I do not defect in order to betray America. Betrayal is merely the outcome of that defection. Response time is always slower here. Perhaps she lacks confidence in her judgment. You're a hero in the West. Why should the Soviets trust you? In addition to the scientist, I provide them with a portable nuclear warhead in order to win the favor of a Russian GRU officer. And then you launched it. Launched? The nuke? Me? That's right. At a target inside Soviet territory. Nuclear weapons make my
Davy
blood run
Crockett
cold.
صاروخ.
They blot out the future. How could I? Karma. Is it my karma? The karma my mistake has brought upon us? My... Attention. Discontinue forward reasoning. Cross-check with knowledge base. Affirmative. Cross-check complete. Revising conclusion as follows. I steal the new weapons developed by the scientist, and then launch the nuke at the Weapons Design Bureau.
Forward and backward reasoning are in conflict. Attention, return to forward reasoning.
Affirmative.
Your apprentice returns for the scientist.
I send him
ايه
away.
لها علاقة؟
He doesn't give up.
I send my comrades
رائد
to defeat
فضاء
him.
تفوق.
All of them fail. Even the
وفي
crew
نزوله
officer
من
who
إحدى
oversaw your
الرحلات
defection is defeated by your
احترق.
apprentice, along with a new weapon. Now, what is your course of action?
I fight him.
Why? With your GRU patron dead, there's no reason for you to fight. Why not just run away?
I must fight him.
I do not see the reason. With a soldier of your caliber on his side, how could the GRU officer be defeated to begin with? Did you betray him too?
I've been waiting for a long time.
You could switch allegiance from GRU to KGB and take the remaining nuke as a gift. There's no chance they wouldn't welcome a hero of your stature.
Drift away. My place is with them now.
I didn't ask you that. Give me the basis for your reasoning. Tell me the truth.
Politics determine who you face on the battlefield.
Why won't you answer me? It's like you were just waiting for him to kill you.
I was disloyal. Betrayed my country. I deserve to die.
How can you say that? You can't be a traitor. You're not that kind of person.
Kill me. Kill me now.
Stop it! Stop it! Attention! Discontinue reasoning.
One must die, and one must live.
Stop it, damn you! Discontinue!
Life's end. Isn't it beautiful?
Shut
Oh
down!
my god.
Always in the same place. Her reasoning goes haywire. Someone holds the key. Perhaps it's him. I'll get it out of him. One way or another.
Oh my god baby. The boss final mission. الفينالي. أو اقروا لي ايفا debriefing. اسمعوا لي يا اصدقائي. وجوا عندنا شيء message from Eva. للأسف هي على وبطل. يلا خلينا نسمع هاي اخير بارتين للإيفا.
She told me everything.
هاي إيفا بدها تحكي رجل.
Why did she open her heart to me like that? At the time, I couldn't understand it. But now, I think I do. Snake. She wanted you to know the truth. She chose me to tell you. That's why she saved my life.
ويت هل هاي اعتقد اطلع لكم اياه مترجم. اكو فد شرح على باليوتيوب حلو كلش، فاذا لقيته اطلع لكم اياه حتى تفتهمون، لان هالكاتسين كلش احبه.
I hear you've been causing quite the ruckus. It's been a while. Nothing much to report. Or so they tell me. The legacies small. What do they keep, right? The boss gave that to me. Should have told you sooner. I probably should have told you right away.
اوكي لقيت الشيء اللي اريد اراويكم اياه. اوكي شباب، يلا خلينا نكمل هذا وراها نستمع الفتشي. انا راد نستمع له سوا. يلا.
She told me everything. Why did she open her heart to me like that? At the time, I couldn't understand it. But now, I think I do. Snake. She wanted you to know the truth. She chose
حبيبي
me
محمد
to
عاجل
tell
الله
you.
معك.
That's why she saved my life.
هسه عرفنا ذا بوسي
I've lied
شلونك.
to you so many times, but not this time. My orders from the government were to obtain the legacy and to eliminate everyone who knew the truth about what happened. In other words, I'm supposed to kill you. But I can't do it. Not because we loved each other, and not because you saved my life.
Because of her.
But because I made a promise to the boss.
100%.
And I intend to keep it. I just wanted you to know. And you have to live. Snake, listen to me. She didn't betray the United States. No, far from it. She was a hero who died for her country. She carried out her mission knowing full well what was going to happen. Self-sacrifice, because that was her duty. The boss's defection was a ruse set up by the US government. It was all a big drama staged by Washington so they could get their hands on the philosopher's legacy. And the boss was the star of the show. They planned it so that they could get the legacy that Colonel Volgan inherited and destroy the Shagohod at the same time. Only a legendary hero like the boss could have earned Volgan's trust. Finding out where the philosopher's legacy was hidden was to be her greatest mission. Everything was going according to plan. But then something happened that no one could have predicted. Colonel Volgan fired an American-made nuclear warhead at Sokolov's research facility. Khrushchev demanded that the US government provide proof that it wasn't involved. They couldn't just abort the operation to steal the legacy. So the operation itself was greatly expanded and revised. The authorities in Washington knew that in order to prove its innocence, they'd have to get rid of the boss. And that one of their own would have to do the job. The public couldn't be allowed to find out about it. Not ever. This, they concluded, would be the best way to keep the whole thing under wraps. The boss wouldn't be allowed to come back home alive. And she wouldn't be allowed to kill herself.
Oh my god.
Her life would be ended by her most beloved disciple. That was the way the government wanted it. That was the mission she was given. And she had no choice but to carry it out. Her death, at your hands, was a duty she had to fulfill. Out of duty, she turned her back on her own comrades. A lesser woman would have been crushed by such a burden. The taint of disgrace will follow her to her grave. Future generations will revile her. In America, as a despicable traitor with no sense of honor. And in Russia, as a monster who unleashed a nuclear catastrophe. She will go down in official history as a war criminal. And no one will ever understand her. that was her final mission. And like a true soldier, she saw it through to the end. But I think she wanted you, of all people, to know the truth. She wanted to live on in your memory. Not as a soldier, but as a woman.
Oh my God.
But she was forbidden to tell you herself. And that's why she told me. Snake, history will never know what she did.
هاي مؤلمة. التاريخ ما راح
No one
يعرف
will
ايش
ever
سوت.
learn the truth. Her story, her debriefing will endure only in your heart. Everything she did for her country. She sacrificed her life and her honor for her native land. She was a real hero. She was a true patriot.
Oh my God baby. ما حدا راح يعرف ايش سوت للتاريخ. ما حدا راح يعرف يا اصدقائي للاسف. اوكي هسه اتمنى هاي طالع لكم. طبعا شكرا للمترجم خالد MGS. منشن القناة هو اللي مترجم هاي ومسوي هاي الفعالية كلها. فخلنا نتفرج سوا يا اصدقائي. هاي هسه تركت الكاسيت الاخير اللي بعد اللي هو اسمه رسالة من ايفا. يلا شباب. اوكي
Been a while, hasn't it? Hello, Snake. It's been a while, hasn't it? I hear you've been causing quite the ruckus in Nicaragua. Nothing much to report from my end. The legacy's being put to good use. Or so they tell me. But enough with the small talk. There's something I need to tell you. You saw the photo that came with this tape, right? The boss gave that to me 10 years ago. I'm sorry, I should have told you sooner. I probably should have told you right away. But sending it to you hasn't been an easy decision to make. It's taken me 10 years. Once you've heard what I have to say, you'll understand why. That photo belonged to her. I know what you're thinking. What does she have to do with this? You've probably seen it 100 times in the press already. Obviously, it's of the Mercury 7, the first group of American astronauts, the heroes of Project Mercury. But there were actually 8 people in that photo.
Yeah.
One of them was edited out,
واحد
erased,
نزالته محوه.
without a trace. That
Mercury.
8th astronaut, the one airbrushed out of existence,
ركزولي هاي معلومات
that was
سرية.
her, Snake. Now,
هم
why
مو
did they
سبعة
need to keep her
ثمانية.
existence a secret? What were they trying to hide? The answer goes back even further. 17 years ago.
It was the height of the Cold War. The Eastern and Western blocs were racing to develop space technology to match their nuclear
طبعا
arsenals.
شكرا
In
للمترجم
1957, the
مفصل
Soviet
هاي
Union launched
الصور
Sputnik
والهاي
1,
حتى
the first
تفهمون أكثر.
artificial satellite. The Americans were stunned. They'd been led to believe their country led the world in science and technology. That shock quickly turned into fear. If the Russians had the know-how to launch a
هذا
satellite
سبوتنيك
into
يا
space,
أصدقائي مال
they
الاتحاد
could use it to
السوفيتي.
launch a nuclear missile too.
سبوتنيك
Frantic, the US threw everything it had into
اللي
the
سموه
space race.
اللقاح على
The
اسمه.
following year, the Army succeeded in launching the first American satellite, Explorer 1. The National Aeronautics and Space Administration was established that fall, and Project Mercury with it. The goal was to send a man into space, and 7 men were chosen as pilot candidates. The media dubbed them the Mercury 7. They were immediately hailed as national heroes, icons of Western space exploration. But after Explorer, America suffered a series of failed rocket launches. Desperate, the government made a fateful decision. Unable to wait for its space program to mature, they'd steal the Soviets' technology, at the same time sabotaging their space program. You know better than anyone how hard a mission that was. The Soviet space program was shrouded in secrecy. Recovering that information would be no easy task. Using the help of an insider, they'd insert a sleeper agent into the research institute, or else recruit one of those insiders to do the job for them. And, if necessary, the mission leader would have to go in and sort things out themselves. Someone was needed with experience, knowledge, and superior intuition. And the only one for the job was the boss. The president himself asked for her by name. He needed someone who could be trusted with the fate of a nation. Who else to turn to but the hero of the Second World War? It was June 1959. So you see, Snake, that's why she left. That was the top secret mission that took her from you. But her selection ruffled a few CIA feathers. They didn't appreciate the president going over their head like that. The mission was tough enough already, and now the CIA was dragging its feet. She couldn't get anything out of them. No manpower, no information. Left to her own devices, the boss made a decision she knew would come back to haunt her. She decided to tap into the Philosopher's Network. And that's when the wheels of fate began to turn. The Philosophers were a secret society of power brokers formed in a pact between the US, Russia, and China in the early 20th century. Of course, by that time, the American and Soviet branches had already parted ways. But there were those among the remaining Russian philosophers not entirely happy with the one-party communist state. The boss reached out to them. She arranged clandestine meetings in Berlin, hoping to find a way into OKB-1, the Soviets' premier design bureau. She worked tirelessly to win their sympathy, in some instances using huge sums of cash, in others by helping them over the Berlin Wall. It was a dangerous game to be playing. The Philosophers had everything on her, and not just information either. She'd given birth to a child on the battlefield, only to have them immediately snatch it away. I know she told you that story. If that child was in the hands of the Soviet philosophers, she'd be putting more than just herself in danger. But she did what she had to do. At the time, the Soviet Union was believed to have an arsenal of missiles far greater than that of the United States. If that proved to be the case, Moscow would be free from the yoke of nuclear deterrence, raising the possibility that the Soviets might actually launch nukes if they felt it necessary. As you know, the so-called missile gap turned out to be a Soviet bluff. Moscow had gone to incredible lengths to perpetuate the lie. In fact, the whole space race was really just a part of an elaborate ruse. Only we didn't know that at the time. She used to joke that even she swallowed the whole missile gap story, hook, line, and sinker. She
she put her life on the line for the sake of her country, to prevent nuclear war. And it was because of her sacrificial efforts that America succeeded in placing a sleeper agent inside OKB-1. NASA began to receive huge volumes of technical data from the Soviet program. By the end of 1959, they'd succeeded in sending a chimpanzee named Sam on a ballistic rocket flight. The rocket never left the atmosphere. But all the same, it was a huge success for NASA, restoring confidence in its technology. Then, just when the operation was starting to produce results, the CIA came calling. "You're a war hero," they said. "No need for you to dirty your hands with this sort of black ops. We'll take it from here." In effect, they wanted to reap the rewards for themselves. But the boss didn't object.
كله
"My
في
part is over,"
سبيل
she said.
الوطن.
"I don't care what you do with the data now." It seemed as if NASA was making great strides toward manned spaceflight while the Russians lagged behind. They even got a report from their mole at OKB-1. "The safe return of Sam has sent our scientists into a panic," he said. Soon afterward, the Soviet Union sent an animal of its own into space on Sputnik 2.
الكلب
The dog Kudryavka,
هذا
better known to the
زاره
world as
بمتحف هذا
Laika.
هنا.
But Laika was fated never to return to Earth. The U.S. can recover its
حتى بقايا
spacecraft from
الصاروخ
the ocean
موجودة.
upon re-entry. But the Soviet Union only borders the frozen Arctic. They had to bring their spacecraft down on land. How could they soften the impact enough to bring a living creature back safely? The agent reported that the Soviets hadn't yet found a solution to that problem. The plot to sabotage the Soviet space program seemed to be working, too. First, they tampered with Sputnik 4's re-entry. Then, 2 months later, one of their rockets exploded on the launch pad. They did manage to send 2 dogs into orbit aboard Sputnik 5 and return them safely to Earth. But the agent dismissed it as a fluke. Dogs, sure, but humans? They didn't have the technology. Everybody believed it. Everybody was complacent. Everybody. Except the boss. There was something about the Sputnik 5 schematics they were getting that
مثل
didn't
جيل
seem right.
ثقبك.
Some kind of
جيل ثقبك
ejection
يا
device on the
أصدقائي.
capsule that didn't quite belong. She couldn't figure out the reason why it was there. What was it supposed to eject? NASA shrugged off her concerns.
ها كلها حقائق
They
بالواقع
figured it was
صارت.
probably meant to eject the flight recorder in case of an accident. The boss pleaded with them to investigate, but the CIA wasn't having it.
دارس بالتاريخ.
They probably thought she was trying to reclaim some of the glory for herself. The boss wouldn't give up.
وشلون يدخل قصة مثل جير بالتاريخ. ذا بوس.
Alone, without any backing from the CIA. By the beginning of the next year, 1961, she'd succeeded in infiltrating OKB-1. That's when she saw the truth for the first time.
من الواقع.
The sleeper that she'd worked so hard to place was a double agent. He'd been turned by the Soviets and was feeding the Americans lies. But what shocked the boss even more was why. The CIA's access agent had been taking a large cut of the sleeper's pay. The sleeper felt what little he was left with wasn't worth the risk. When he got a better offer from Moscow, he took it. At some point, the Americans' intelligence operation had become an open book to the Soviets. And contrary to what the sleeper had been reporting, the Soviets' manned spaceflight technology was quite advanced. It wasn't until she infiltrated OKB-1 herself that the boss learned the truth about Sputnik 5. After the spacecraft re-entered the atmosphere, it ejected the pilot, seat and all, at an altitude of 7,000 meters.
Holy shit.
It was the Soviet solution to the problem of land recovery. The mystery device attached to Sputnik 5 was for that purpose. The pilot would parachute down from that high altitude wearing a bulky spacesuit. Crazy, I know. The Soviets knew exactly how dangerous it was, of course. So much so that they gave Yuri Gagarin, the first man in space, a special 2-rank promotion before re-entry. Only Moscow could come up with this kind of plan. With total state control over information, they could easily pretend it never happened in the event of a failure. The boss passed the info on to NASA. It was their worst nightmare. The glory of mankind's first spaceflight was about to be stolen from them by the Soviet Union. It was Sputnik all over again. And the CIA was caught no less off guard. Their ineptitude had caused the fiasco in the first place.
لا موجود كله بالكاتسينات بالكاسيتات.
درس بالتاريخ. A masterful tapestry of truth and fiction to convince the Americans their intelligence operations were proceeding as planned. No one but the boss could have seen through it. It was obvious the Soviets had some gifted minds working on their side. But that certainly didn't excuse the CIA's massive failure. The CIA wasn't done, though, and devised an ingenious plan to avoid taking responsibility. Luckily for them, a new president had been elected the previous November, John F. Kennedy. As he didn't know the case history when taking office, the CIA was able to feed lies to his new administration. They masked their own failures, placing the blame squarely on the boss's shoulders. After all, she'd selected an unreliable sleeper. They claimed she'd failed to make use of one of the most effective means of controlling a sleeper agent's actions: holding their family hostage. The boss was well aware that would have worked. She told me so later, but she couldn't bring herself to do it. It seems clear it had to do with having her own child taken. She could never inflict the same pain on anyone else. The CIA used that against her. In his election campaign, Kennedy had vowed to close the missile gap with Moscow. If America lost the space race, that promise would be worthless. The fact that the president had no links to the philosophers only made things worse. He was completely unaware of the secret networks she'd used to complete her mission. In his eyes, she was no better than a traitor. The fate that awaited her was cruel beyond belief. The order came down from above. The boss would take the official blame for the sleeper's betrayal. More so, she'd serve as the guinea pig for NASA's manned spaceflight program. By then, NASA had gotten as far as sending a chimp named Ham into space. Now came a whole battery of ground tests to pave the way for a human to take its place. High-G tests, zero-G tests, spacesuit tests, simulations in pressurized oxygen environments. Some of the tests were highly dangerous, too dangerous for the Mercury 7, who were by then already media darlings. So the boss was made to stand in for them. She could have refused the order, argued her side of the story against the CIA, but she didn't. The way she saw it, her military experience made her a potentially valuable asset to those tests. She felt it was her duty to accept. She soon proved herself right. The boss was more than just a guinea pig. She drew on her experience to give the staff focused advice exactly where it was needed. NASA's space program took off again. At the rate they were going, putting a man in space seemed within reach. The higher-ups at NASA were impressed with her talents. They took to calling her the 8th astronaut, the Mercury Lady. The photo I sent you was taken around that time. I suppose maybe they were planning to use it as propaganda, the world's first female astronaut. But then, just as things were looking up, they hit a new snag. The government told them to add a window. There were no windows in NASA's spacecraft back then. Ham never saw the stars around him. But Washington insisted. Their sources told them Soviet spaceships had windows. Space exploration as a form of propaganda in itself. After all, what was the point of sending a man into space if he couldn't tell the world what he'd seen? Most of all, though, they simply simply couldn't have the Russians doing something they couldn't. It was sheer madness, and everybody knew it. NASA was already facing impossible deadlines. Now they were adding yet another element of uncertainty to the mix. Installing a window would both weaken the spacecraft and make it harder to shield the occupant from cosmic rays. They weren't about to put their Mercury 7 golden boys in that kind of danger. So the boss was chosen as the pilot instead.
Oh my god.
Even if she made it up into space, she was given less than a 20% chance of returning to Earth alive. But she took it in stride, even helping them make the necessary design changes to the Mercury capsule. It was like going to work every day at NASA to make her own coffin. Then, without warning, the US received intelligence that the Soviets had moved their Vostok spacecraft to the launch site. The launch was set for the following day, April 12th, 1961. America couldn't let the Soviets beat them with Vostok. NASA was forced to cut short the testing process and move the launch date up. They pulled out all the stops to get it scheduled for the earliest hours of the next day. The spacecraft would be launched from Cape Canaveral in the dead of night. For the flight path, they chose a course that would take her as far east as possible. She'd be able to see the Earth in daylight from the window, at least for a little while. The boss climbed into the Mercury capsule, having completed less than 80% of the regular flight procedures. Both the timing and the flight path were risky, and testing was far from complete. But NASA had no other choice. The boss, for her part, never expected to come home alive. She was going on a one-way trip, the American version of Laika the dog. And yet she went all the same. Someone has to be first, she said. If fate has chosen me, then I accept. For my country, for the balance of the world. That's how she saw things. My chances may be slim, but I'll take them. I've accepted my fate. If anyone can get through this, I can. Then, on April 12th at 1:30 in the morning, the boss entered space. It was nothing short of a miracle. First, that she'd made it in an incomplete spacecraft. And second, that her flight coincided almost exactly with Gagarin's. As the sun rose over the horizon, and cosmic rays began to bombard her through the window, she saw the Earth. I think you've heard the story before. It was a world without borders, a perfect jewel. All nations, all ideologies. They seemed so far away. It almost made her laugh, knowing that they'd risked so much to beat the Soviets by a few short minutes. If she'd seen Vostok from her window, she probably would have waved. But the two spacecraft were destined for very different fates. Gagarin circled the Earth and returned to the Soviet Union, safe and sound.
Yuri Gagarin.
The Mercury capsule, on the other hand, deviated from its planned re-entry angle. The addition of a window had thrown the capsule's aerodynamics off balance. The boss's coffin veered wildly off course and began to plunge earthward. The course deviation caused the capsule to miss its splashdown point by a wide margin. It didn't have enough time to decelerate before crashing into the sea. The force of the impact shattered the spacecraft before it started to sink like a stone. The boss used the last of her strength to escape to the surface. Her body was covered in bruises and scorched by radiation.
Oh my God.
It was a miracle she was still alive. She slipped into a coma and didn't regain consciousness for 6 months. To some, what was worst of all was that she had lost the space race to Gagarin by only a few minutes. That aside, it should have been a proud day for America. Its first manned spaceflight Sadly, her accomplishment was kept out of the history books. An attempt to save face by Washington. In contrast to
حلوة.
Gagarin's orbital flight,
يدخلوا
America had
لك
only
الخيال
managed
مال
a
اللعبة
ballistic trajectory.
بالوقائع
Her
التاريخية.
flight time was much shorter too. And most importantly, the Soviets had brought back both spacecraft and pilot safely.
وهذا السبب كان يعتبر
NASA
انتصار
couldn't even conjure
للسوفيت.
up a half-hearted tale of heroic survival. The coup de grace, though, was the Soviet propaganda campaign that kicked into gear after the flight. The Earth was blue. Those were the words of Gagarin on his return, and the whole world was listening. In the blink of an eye, Gagarin was an international celebrity, earning accolades from every corner. It was a PR coup for the Soviet Union. Meanwhile, Washington could only grit its teeth in silence. They decided there was no value in making the boss's flight public, that it would only make matters worse. So they buried it instead, labeling it a dark mission. NASA and the CIA did everything in their power to erase all traces of the boss from Project Mercury. The result was the photo you see before you. Not a bad job, huh? Not only did they expunge her flight from the records, they denied that she ever existed.
Oh my god.
And that wasn't the end of it. As an alibi, the military claimed she'd taken part in the CIA's botched Bay of Pigs plot to take back Cuba. And when the boss was finally well enough to return to service, they wouldn't take her back. She was forced to go underground. In the public eye, the boss was still a hero of World War II. In reality, though, she was anything but that. She was a non-person, fit only for the blackest of black ops. In effect, she may as well have been dead. Gagarin went on a worldwide tour in front of millions of adoring fans. The boss, meanwhile, was a walking secret, unable to breathe a word about her experience. The authorities in Washington had this to say: "Why are you still here? If only you'd had the decency to give us a nice quote like Gagarin and then die an honorable death, you'd have gone down as a hero." 3 weeks later, on May 5th, Alan Shepard, one of the Mercury 7, made his own ballistic flight. They sure didn't try to cover up his achievement. Of course, he owed his success to the lessons learned from the boss's tragedy. Before sending Gagarin up into space, the Soviets had used a mannequin called Ivan Ivanovich to test the landing procedure, which would make the boss America's version of a crash test dummy. But she didn't care. "I'm happy to be the dummy," she said, "if it'll help the project succeed. Nothing would give me greater satisfaction." And that still wasn't the end of it. The boss had worked through the anti-Moscow faction of the Soviet Union's philosophers to place the sleeper agent, and at some point, the Soviets found out about it. Yet the Americans remained oblivious to the end. Even the philosopher network the boss plugged into never tipped them off to the double cross. That could only mean one of two things. Either the pro-Moscow philosophers had intervened, or the anti-Moscow philosophers had been turned. Either way, it was a situation their American counterparts couldn't stand. To preserve the philosopher's good name, and to repay her debt, so to speak, the boss once again made her way into the Soviet Union. There, she found herself face to face with the Soviets' own agent.
لاقتني العميل السوفيتي.
Awaiting her return to Russia, the one who'd turned her sleeper against her, who'd fed them lies all this time. It was her former comrade in arms, the father of her child, the man known as the Sorrow. He didn't know it was the boss who'd sent the sleeper. Or to be more precise, the Soviet philosophers never told him. Former lovers, forced to fight to the death.
أجبروها حتى تقتل
One
حبيبها.
would live and one would die, she told me. That was the revenge the Soviet philosophers had in store for me. If both of them survived,
جثة نشوفها
their
من
child
النهر.
would suffer in their place. They were left with no other option. The boss shot him. He offered no resistance. When she returned from the Soviet Union, there was no place left for her to go. She'd sacrificed everything. Everything. For her country. And in
حقه
return,
شرى الشخص كي يسوي كل شيء.
they treated her like a dead woman.
على اللي
She was
مسويه
made a scapegoat
أهله.
for no good reason. Only because power had changed hands in Washington. Any lesser being would have long since cracked. It was then that one of her old SAS comrades reached out to her. Major Zero. Her old SAS comrades reached out to her. Major Zero. And so Fox was born. She undertook a mission that, well, you should know better than anybody. You were a part of it. 20 days after Shepard's flight, President Kennedy announced that America would put a man on the moon. Without the intelligence the boss obtained, America's space program would never have caught up. Armstrong and Aldrin might never have walked on the moon. But the Americans' gain had cost the boss her health, her honor, and the man she loved.
Oh my god.
The word tragedy doesn't even begin to describe what she
بالضبط
endured.
ماكو شيء يوصف اللي صار بيها.
The Soviets
لا
continued
مأساة
their
ولا
manned
شيء
space
أكبر من
flights,
مأساة.
and in 1963, Valentina Tereshkova became the so-called first woman in space. It's said they took their cue from NASA's long-buried Mercury Lady project. And so that, Snake, is the mission that kept her away from you for so long. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why not use me as her agent? She knew I'd never even think of betraying her. I think it's because she didn't want to drag you into it. She probably knew what was going to happen. To complete the mission, she'd have to turn to the philosophers, and once she did that, whatever came of it, there'd be a price to pay. No one understood that better than her. So please, Snake, let it go. When she gave me the photo, she left me to decide whether or not to pass it along to you. I know she was torn about it, just as I was. She knew you'd probably blame yourself. Why did she hold on to it for so long? That, I can't say. To remind her of how much it hurt to be erased. She wasn't that kind of person. No. I think she meant it to be a message to you. She had her identity, her life, taken away. But she wanted you, of all people, to know the truth. Snake, you've probably already figured this out, but it's no accident that I'm only now sending you something I've withheld for so long. A little bird tells me you recently made a big decision. You and the boss are different people. I understand that. And I'm not trying to second guess you. I simply wanted you to know what she saw, how she felt. That's all. Keep it with you, Snake. Keep it deep inside. Don't ever forget the path she took. Because you and I are the only people on this earth who know the truth.
Boss, I'm sorry, but I can't.
Oh my god, baby. Oh my god, baby. Oh my god, baby. Oh my god, baby. هنا ينتهي يا أصدقائي. طبعا شكرا للمترجم خالد والمترجم ايضا امجد، شكرا لهم هواية على الترجمة هاي. وحاليا اريد اقول لكم يا اصدقائي، انطوني لعبة واحدة تقدم لك هيج معلومات وهيج كاتسين. لعبة واحدة اعطيني. ذا بوس، وهذا بوس. اوه ماي جاد بيبي. اوكي يا اصدقائي، هنا أنا غطينا لكم ميتال جير بيس ووكر بالكامل. اتمنى استمتعتوا بهاي التختيمة وياي. شكرا الى كل واحد تواجد ويانا بهاي التختيمة، استمتعت وياكم حيل. وان شاء الله اعتقد باكر راح اخذ استراحة، وعقبه نرجع نبلش بش اسمه ياب ميتال جير جراوند زيروز، ياب نشوف لعبة ناخذ بها استراحة. ويديكم شباب، ثانكيو احمد حبيبي. فهي هاي ميتال جير، لهذا السبب احب ميتال جير، يعني تفاصيل هواية وحتى تثقفك. بورتبل اوبس من اللعبة ان شاء الله. اوه ماي جاد بيبي. اوكي يا اصدقائي، اللي ما شايف الحلقة اللي نزلتها على القناة الاساسية انا ومريا يروح يتفرجها ويتونس ايضا اليوم. ادري البث مال اليوم راح يكون هو شوية قصير، لكن انا قلت لكم ان شاء الله راح اسوي بعد جدول بثوث شبه يومية. بما انه من خلصنا ميتال جير احتمال اخذ استراحة يوم واحد. اي يا احمد، ميتال جير روعة، ميتال جير رهيب. يا انا استمتعت وياكم اكثر يا اصدقائي. التختيمة كانت واحدة من افضل التختيمات لان انتم موجودين بيها، تونست وياكم. شكرا لكل واحد ايضا ناقشنا بالقصة، استمتع ويانا، دا يشوفها ويانا لاول مرة. اتمنى تنطون فرصة لهاللعبة وتجربوها. بالاضافة اكو بعض التفاصيل الصغيرة ما يسمح لنا الوقت انه نطلعها مشينات جانبية، احنا لعبنا بس مشينات اساسية. مشينات جانبية، كاسيتات اضافية تعرفك هيك سوالف على الشخصيات وهيك تاريخهم بسيطة، يعني بصورة بسيطة. فهذا الامر متروك على اللاعب اللي راح يلعب اللعبة بوحده ويقعد يصرف عليها وقت هواية ويغطي بعد تفاصيل اكثر. اتمنى استمتعتوا بهاي التختيمة يا اصدقائي. شكرا لكم هواية، شكرا لكل واحد تواجد ويانا بهاي التختيمة. وقلت لكم ان شاء الله على جدولنا احنا باقين، وبعد كل اسبوع احاول انزل فيديو هيش نوعيته على القناة الاساسية. يعني القناة الاساسية كل اسبوع فيديو، او اذا قدرت مرات كل اسبوع فيديو يعني. هذا كل كان عندنا، ونلتقيكم ان شاء الله في بثوث قادمة يا اصدقائي. يلا باي باي.